Well, it might have finally happened. The old air ride, as you can hear, might have finally given up on me. The front's way down. The compressor's running, but when I click the up button, it does not go up. All right, so last weekend we finished the install on the Air Ride Delete. Everything went pretty well. But unfortunately, I didn't take into consideration the fact that I'm maxing the payload of this truck pretty much 24/7. You can tell it's actually visibly not level with the front. Welcome back to Truck Central. Mr. Justin Wheeler here with the 2019 Ram 1500 Limited High Mileage Edition. First, excuse my voice, a little scratchy today, not feeling super good, but we're gonna power through and get this air suspension problem fixed. Our friends over at airdelete.com sent us a complete air delete kit. It's going to replace the factory airbags in the front and the rear. And we also opted to upgrade to the JBA upper control arms. In the last video, I kind of talked about why we are going with this kit versus just fixing the expensive air system. More or less, just want something a little more rock solid. Truck's getting old. I don't want to spend $2,000-3,000 on fixing the air ride system when you never know. The motor, the trans could have a problem, and this is a more simple solution. All right, so first things first, programming. That's what you got to do first. Now, this is proprietary information, so I'm not going to go over the programming steps. If you are to buy this kit, they will send you the instructions, they'll send you the tools, you can program it and send it back. But, so we won't cover that. I'm going to do that real quick, get that part done, and then we will jack up the truck. I think we're going to do the rear first. That should go fast, and then we'll move to the front. So give me a few minutes to do the programming, and then we will get the rear jacked up. Or, you know, maybe Henry will put the truck on the lift. The lift we don't have. All right, programming is done. Now we have to pull the fuses for the air compressor. So, oh, here's F22. 50 amp fuse. We'll save on that. And F17. So that's for the compressor, and this one is for the control module. Okay, now let's get to the back. All right, first step, get her jacked up, get the wheels off, and then take off the fender flares if you have them. I guess all we're really doing here is taking the wheel liner out. Okay, easy enough. Thank you, Hen. All right, important to note, you want to let the rear differential, the rear axle, droop. So we have our jack stands under the frame. We've let the rear diff as far down as we need it to go. And all we got to do, disconnect the air line. We have to remove the shock, and then the bump stop that's back here. We've got to use a recip saw, cut that off. We're going to be mounting our new one, our new yellow one. So, all right, the air hose came off pretty easy. It was just a 12 mil, super loose. It's amazing this thing didn't leak. That was a joke, Henry. It did leak. There she goes. How's it come out of the bottom? Oops. Getting dirt in my caliper. There it goes. All right. Just a little love tap. See how she looks. I don't think this one was a problem.
Looks pretty intact now.
We can put these on your car.
Put them on my car. Make it super.
Take the shock off real quick.
What size is that?
Looks like a 15 and a 17 maybe.
Rick?
Yeah. Alright, we're gonna do that. Then we're gonna take the Sawzall, cut that sucker loose. Alright, we got the shock out easy enough. A bolt on the top, or not on the top, bolt on the bottom. And then the old bump stops have to come out. So you Sawzall those off. And we'll take a flap disc on the grinder and we'll just make sure that's nice and smooth. Hit it with a little black spray paint, and then we're going to start reassembling this side. So not that bad. So far the hardest part's been cutting this little bastard off. But the old Harbor Freight hatchet did it. Alright, first step to reassembly. Spray paint the bare metal you made. Oop, I missed. Oh my god, I'm not hitting anything. There we go. And then you want to let that cure for at least 3 hours.
We're gonna do it.
That's what we did. Alright, we're back the next day putting the bump stop on. There's already a hole in the bump stop bracket, so all you gotta do is run her down. Alright, the bump stop is in. Now we are gonna do the spring. This goes at the top. I think it goes something like that. How in the hell is this gonna fit in here?
That's what I was wondering.
For whatever reason, we couldn't get the spring where it goes without using a spring compression tool. The instructions don't say you need that, but there was, I mean, I was like this shy of getting that bottom coil where it needed to be. So we just went ahead and squeezed it. Now we're about to take it off and get it into position. So you may not need these, or you may. We already had them, so no big deal. So now we're going to back those off, let that sit into position, and then we will put the shock on. Then the side will be done. Alright, spring installed, jounce pad, bump stop. Now we just got to put the shock on, and the side will be done. So, oh, you got it, hand? It'll show off. Let's take the cap off.
You only got one nut up there, I think.
I was born that way. We're going to release it inside the shock pocket. That way, if it goes bananas, all we'll have to do is tap it down. I'm not sure how much pressure's on this thing. Oh, not that much. All right, she is in. We can't torque the top and bottom bolts until we get the weight on the truck. So we're going to wait on that in just a second. Maybe do both sides at the same time. All right, just like anything, the first side took, I don't know, 2 hours. This side took 30 minutes. Now that you had your tools picked out and you kind of knew what you needed to do. I fought with the spring for a while on the other side before I got the compression tool. Now use the compression tool at your own risk. Those can be dangerous. So if you don't know how to use it properly, don't. All right, I'm gonna put the wheel liner back in. It's getting a little dark. So I think what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna flip around and we'll nose into the shop here. That way we have a little bit of light to wrap up the front. So far, I've been really impressed. Everything's kind of just bolted right in. No complaints. All right, we made it to the front. Similar process. We have to disconnect the air line, take the 3 nuts off of the top of the bag, disconnect the sway bar link. I'm probably going to disconnect the bottom one, and pop off the ball joint on the upper control arm. The instructions also say to take the caliper off. I'm guessing so these lines don't get strained. So we may do that too. We'll see. So I'm going to start busting this stuff loose, and I'll be back when I have it kind of partially disassembled. All right, we are disassembled. You got the air strut out, sway bar end link busted loose, caliper hanging from the sway bar, and the upper control arm, obviously. So this is the factory, and that's the JBA off-road tubular. So now we are pretty much ready to stab that one in, get her tightish, and throw that beautiful little coilover in. Let's hope it goes back together good. All right, so we kind of jumped ahead and slammed the fronts on. It's getting late and we're getting tired. So it looks good. Fit pretty good. Some of it needed to be a little bit massaged, but you know, you kind of expect that. So we're gonna put the wheels on, then tighten the lower strut mount bolt thing, and then it's gonna be done. I'll probably wrap this video up in the morning when we have some light and I'm not so damn tired. All right, so last weekend we finished the install on the Air Ride Delete. Everything went pretty well, other than a couple mistakes that we made along the way. But the fronts went together, they look great. But unfortunately, I didn't take into consideration the fact that I am maxing the payload of this truck pretty much 24/7. I've probably got close to 1,000 pounds of tools and materials in the back all the time. And as such, the 1-inch lift that we were shooting for in the rear is not quite 1 inch. In fact, you can tell it's actually visibly not level with the front. And that's probably my fault because I have so much stuff in here and I didn't think about that. So I reached out to airdelete.com and told them my situation, and within 20 minutes they sent me out a new pair of heavy duty rear coils. So before we finish this install video, we're going to swap those out real quick and see what kind of difference that makes. I don't know if I'd mentioned it in the beginning of the video, but the way this kit is designed is it's a 3-inch lift from factory up front and 1 inch in the rear, and that's supposed to give you a pretty level ride height. So no fault to Air Delete. Really, it's just my special exception here for the way that I operate that requires me to modify the setup a little bit. But kudos to those guys for being receptive and willing to help and swapping me the parts I need to get it done. So we're gonna bring the truck back to the shop, bust the rear wheels off, and get those Eibach normal springs out and take a look at the heavy duty guys. All right, Henry actually got it on the lift this time for us. That came out way easier. Here's a comparison between the heavy duty spring and the Eibach springs. The Eibachs are a little longer, but noticeably thinner on the coil section. So we'll see what kind of difference it makes. I'll show you real quick. Excuse the mess. Before we did the swap, we were 34.5 in the front, 39.25 on the passenger rear, so you can tell the whole truck was kind of, and it was pulling this rear up. These were pretty close, and this was at the stock, the normal ride height. After we did the Air Ride Delete with the normal 1-inch lift springs, we were right around 37 in the back, which was actually a little bit lower than before. The fronts though were pretty good, right around just over 39 on both sides. So we've got some kind of, you know, documentation for what we're looking at. So now we will slam in the new one. I guess we might as well put this one on this side before we even move to the other side, huh?
That's right.
All right, let's do that. So that took all of about 5 minutes to reinstall. I opted to upgrade my spring compressor tool from that cheap Harbor Freight deal I used last time. It was kind of sketchy and I didn't like it. So I got these guys. Man, made it go so much quicker and easier, and I didn't feel like I was gonna lose the ability to have kids when I was done. So pretty happy with that. That's an Amazon boy. We'll put a link to that. I would highly recommend it if you're gonna do this. So we'll probably wait to put the, now we'll go ahead and button it up. I'm feeling good about it. Henry, you feeling good about it?
Feeling great.
Okay, he said it. All right, 55 minutes later, the new coils have been swapped. We're about to take her off the lift here. Let's see how much she settles. It's looking better so far. A little hard to tell because the front's at an angle, but let's put the tape on her. This one was just over 37 to the wheel arch here. Now we are at almost 39 and a half. I think that did the trick. Let's check this other side. I can tell it's definitely sitting up higher. The spacing between the wheel and the quarter panel or rear fender, 39 and a half, perfect. Very nice. All right, I guess we'll roll it out and see how she looks. All right, so that looks much better. We have a pretty consistent 2.5 to 3 inch lift, front to back. It's level, front and back. It's almost spot on. Now there's a 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch variance corner to corner, but where I measured isn't perfectly flat, and my tires have kind of uneven wear and air pressure. So I'm gonna say if we're within 1/2 inch variance all the way around, pretty happy. One thing I do like about these JBA upper control arms and these new Eibach coils is you can actually see them in the wheel well just as you walk by. So it kind of gives it a nice upgraded touch. And the rears, not much to see there other than just a slightly more aggressive stance. One thing I didn't really mention and explain as well as I should have when kind of doing the cost analysis of doing a air delete versus just a straight swap of factory air suspension components is I had been planning to do a mild lift like this already. That way I can go with some bigger tires. And so I would have had to replace the factory air ride components and then buy the additional lift kit that's compatible with the air ride. So this actually checked those two boxes off at the same time. We fixed it and we lifted it a little bit together. One important thing to note also, these kits from Air Delete come with a lifetime warranty, and they're not just for the 5th gen Rams, they have them for the 4th gen Rams, 2500 Rams, as well as Jeep Cherokees. They have another website called Mag Delete. So if you have a GM vehicle with the Mag ride and you're not happy with it, or it's time to upgrade it, swap it out, and maybe put a little lift on at the same time, they also have products for that. So check them out at airdelete.com and magdelete.com. If you have any questions or if there's anything I glossed over, you know how it gets sometimes when you're doing these installs. You just kind of get wrapped up in the process. So once again, appreciate Air Delete for helping us out with this kit, allowing me to kind of customize my package and then change it mid-install. We may do a follow-up video down the road once I get the alignment done and get the new wheels and tires on, so we can kind of get a feel for really how good it handles and rides compared to the factory setup. Leave me a comment down below. You know I look forward to talking to you. And as always, thanks for watching.